What's going on, family? Welcome to another episode of the Season Monroe Show. I am your host. Today, we're going to be getting into Kraven the Hunter. But before we get into that, I want to talk about the top 5 black sitcoms of all time, right here on the Season Monroe Show. Now, before we get into the top 5, I want to go ahead and give credit where credit is due. I was just watching Comedy Hype earlier, and I guess Jaleel White spoke on why the Family Matters show isn't like the #1 show in black households, or it's not in the top 5, top 10 conversations in the black households. And this is what made me think of it. Like, is Family Matters in my top 5, top 10? I don't know. We'll see. But we're going to start from the bottom. So coming in at number 5 is going to be Smart Guy. Now, the reason why I'm bringing up Smart Guy, I didn't want to go into anything that had less than 4 seasons. Smart Guy had less than 4 seasons, but I had to bring this up. Reason being is I felt like it was a show. It was a family show. It brought another light into black households, especially during that time. And all around, it was a phenomenal show. It really didn't work because of like behind the scenes stuff as far as pay. But other than that, like it was one of the shows that had the highest ratings at the time. It just did a phenomenal job. And unfortunately, people's egos got in the way and the show had to be canceled. So coming in at number 5 is Smart Guy. Coming in at number 4 is going to be The Cosby Show. The reason why I'm bringing this in at number 4 is because it's not personally my favorite show, but I know the importance of The Cosby Show and what it brought. It just bringing this type of light into black households as far as middle class type of deals, especially at this time. All the shows that were centered around black people were more focused on poverty, except for the Jeffersons. Obviously, they moved on up, but Good Times was a big one, Sanford and Son. And I felt like The Cosby Show kind of drifted us away from that. What's the stereotypical stuff as far as being in poverty, so on and so forth. It was funny. It was family oriented. It brought life lessons into the show. It was just all around phenomenal. So at number 4 is going to be The Cosby Show. Going into number 3 is going to be The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Fresh Prince of Bel-Air is always going to be it should be on everyone's top show of all time, but definitely it was one of the best black sitcoms, especially from the 90s. Like, it brought hip hop into suburban America. It just did a lot for us. Again, it brought in the father / uncle. He's a lawyer. And again, it brings us away from that poverty-stricken background. It was funny. It was hilarious. It was different stories as far as in the high school, the climate. It brought in those black struggles being in California, in Bel Air, in the more Santa Monica type of areas, and how it affected a lot of the black students that were coming up at that time. And again, everyone wasn't hip to the black struggles because again, the silver spoon aspect of things, it's like, oh, you don't have any struggles. You're rich, but also the things that you have to fight on that side. So that's why I'm giving The Fresh Prince number 3. Coming in at number 2 is going to be everyone's favorite sitcom, especially in the black household, is Martin. Martin was phenomenal from start to finish. Of course, there was some things going on in the background where the last couple of seasons or so, but we don't want to get into any of that. I just want to say that it was hilarious and how Martin really brought you into the studio audience with them. When on screen, you could see that they were cracking up and they had to pan the camera somewhere else. It's just like, it was just phenomenal, man. I felt like they did a great job with that. And again, you felt like you were a part of the audience. You felt like you were a part of the scene because, again, they couldn't hold their composure at certain parts. It got you into that mode of, all right, I'm sitting around family, we cracking jokes, and again, this is us, we talking stuff to each other, you better not laugh, and then, you just burst out laughing. So Martin is going to be number 2 for me. Now, before we get into number 1, I want you guys to go ahead, like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. At this point in time, I'm going to give you a second to do it because I believe in you guys. Go ahead and hit it. Share this video. Let your people know about it. I want to hear their thoughts. Leave them thoughts in the comments below. What is your top 5? Let's get it out there, all right? So coming in at number 1, I'm going to go ahead and say it. Let's hit the drum roll one time. It's going to be the Wayans Bros. I don't want to hear anything from anybody. The Wayans Bros is the most hilarious show out there, point blank, period. Again, it was just one of those shows. It really didn't have a common theme in the show. It was just, well, I guess brothers living together. That was the common theme in the show, but it was literally something new every episode, and it was just hilarious. When I get off from a long day of work, I want to just sit down and I need something to laugh at. I pop the Wayans Bros on. And again, you could do that with the other shows in this list. It's just some of those other shows might dip off into serious aspects of things, and that's not what I'm here for. I'm here to laugh. I really need this relief, and the Wayans Bros definitely does that for me. Personally, yes, they have a couple of serious episodes in there, but just the aspect, the relationship between the brothers is real, obviously. And then the relationship between the brothers with the father. John Witherspoon is not related to the Wayans Bros by blood. They're not biologically related, but you couldn't tell that on that screen. Like, that seemed like Pops was Pops in that show, plain and simple. R.I.P. John Witherspoon. The Wayans Bros don't get the credit that they deserve. They're just phenomenal at what they do. That show is hilarious. You guys should definitely go check it out if you haven't. I'm pretty sure you all seen the episode of the Wayans Bros, but it just doesn't get enough flowers. Like, we talk about Martin all the time. We talk about the Fresh Prince all the time. Of course, the Cosby Show deserves its flowers first. It just shows like the Wayans Bros just don't get talked about enough, and I feel that it needs to be, like, hands down, one of the best shows ever created. So, again, let me know what you think down below, guys. I appreciate y'all for tuning in. Let's get into what we came here for, what you guys came here for. And that's going to be the Kraven the Hunter review. Now, going into Kraven the Hunter, we kind of knew what to expect. I take that back, because back in October, they released another trailer for Kraven the Hunter, and I thought this was going to be all right. This was going to be a great film. Well, not a great film. I thought it was going to be an okay film. It was going to be entertaining. And then projections got released. And then another round of projections got released. And it was just like, all right, this film is just not going to do it. And then they had their premiere. I was worried because I didn't hear anything positive from the reactions of the film. So going into the film, I didn't have high expectations. I literally was like just right above sea level with this thing. Like, it was right there. Like, I didn't think it was going to be terrible, but I had a little bit of faith in the film, and maybe that's why I was let down so bad. Like, Kraven the Hunter missed every mark known to man. Like, I'm going to give you guys the start. You've seen the first 8 minutes online, I'm sure by now. Just seeing that on the big screen, it just didn't seem very theatrical. It really seemed like a low-budget fight scene. It felt like something Michael Jai White was in. Like, no disrespect to Michael Jai White. We love Michael Jai White, but we know that his films don't go over a $10 million budget. So, like, that's what I'm talking about there. With this being a Sony Spider-Man spinoff type of film, we know that there was some money being spent on this film, so we were expecting a lot more from that. But just from the start of the film, it kind of went downhill from there. And then we get introduced, they kind of rewind and go back 16 years, and then we get introduced to him as not a child, but younger. They're in college, going to get introduced over to Calypso, and you know it's Calypso because they made sure to say her name a million times. And I just felt like it was forced. Like, they didn't have anything good writing in this film. That's the bad part. It's like the script just can't be this bad when you have source material already. Like, you literally have comic books, decades and decades of comic books that you can go off of. and not make these type of mistakes, but for somehow we still mess up somewhere along the way. And that's when I kind of get into the feel of the people that's behind these films are literally just out there to get a bag, and they are not really caring about the quality of the film. And then they have bad returns because they didn't care about the source material. They didn't care about the film that much. They just were looking for a return. And then you have this situation. So another thing I didn't like about the film, the relationship between Kraven and his father. We knew it was always like a little jaded, but just how it kind of split and ended, and we go to 16 years or to present day, it just felt like there was nothing there. And there's no reason for this to happen. It's just like a spoiled child. It's like, I don't want to be around my father anymore, and just left. And there was no real reason behind it. So that was pretty terrible. Again, yes, Nikolai wasn't the greatest father, but you showed that he was a bad dad in a certain part of the film, but you didn't see that he was what type of guy he really was. And they didn't show that in this film. And he's more of going into like the Russian mobster type feel. They didn't give you that. They just went into the hunter realm. They tried to give you a little tidbit of the mobster feel, but it just wasn't there at all. All in all, I just feel like when you have source material, it shouldn't be this bad. Then we have Rhino in the film. And Rhino shows up for 10 minutes, like an actual, when he transforms into Rhino fully, shows up. I can't even say 10 minutes. It was like a 5-minute fight scene. The reasoning behind it I thought was pretty cool. Like he had to have a certain serum to keep him human. And then when he is released from the serum, he goes into his full Rhino mode. I thought that was dope. That was a dope concept that they could have expanded on a little bit more, but it didn't work out so well. And then you have Chameleon, which a problem with Chameleon was you didn't see Chameleon to the last like 5 minutes of the film. Not even. It was like the last 3 minutes of the film before the credits rolled. Why are we doing this? Why put him in the film? Why delve into that story to try to get a sequel when you don't even know if the first one's going to do good? That's the problem. It's like you're trying to lead into something, which great. You could have led into Sinister Six with this kind of, but you're not working on the character development. You have a bad storyline. You're trying to rush through this storyline. You're introducing all these characters. These characters mean nothing to audiences that don't know anything about them. It just doesn't feel genuine. And I think that's the problem with Kraven the Hunter. It didn't feel right. There's literally a scene at the beginning of the film, after the first 8 minutes or whatever, and he's getting off a plane and he's literally like posing to get off the plane. And I'm like, it's just so bad. It's like really bad. And I don't know if that's the editing. I don't know if it's the director. I just felt like everybody in this, in that involved in this film just didn't do their due diligence in this film at all. Like, the direction was bad. The editing was terrible. The script was just horrendous. The screenwriting, you could just tell like it was just hard to watch this film at times. And I was looking at my watch like, all right, because you go to the 16 years earlier. All right, how much time are we going to spend in his past? Because it's not that deep of a story to even go there. You could have literally went from present day and just moved on from it. If you want to delve into his backstory, if you get another film, then do it. But right now, we should be focused on his story. And I have a spoiler. I'm about to put the spoiler in there. If you guys haven't seen it yet, go ahead, turn away now. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And I'm about to explain another thing that really pissed me off in this film. So at the end of the film, Kraven gets his revenge on his father, but he didn't address the situation at hand. So there's a time where he's getting shot with this serum, or not a serum, like a toxin that makes him fear things, right? Kind of like Scarecrow from Batman. And his fear is spiders. And then it goes back to an image of his mother fearing spiders because she unalived herself. And that was kind of the gist of the movie as far as like what happened to his mother. She unalived herself. And the father was saying that she was weak, so on and so forth. So that was that. But nobody harped on the fact that he was shot with this neurotoxin and he was fearing spiders. and he goes back to the moment where he's seeing his mother and she was fearing spiders, and to connect that at the end of the story, at the end of the movie, you kind of find out that Nikolai kind of set all this up. So why not bring it full circle into understanding that Nikolai was the person that off their mother? That never got brought up in the film. It was literally something that happened. He pretty much took care of him at the end of the film and didn't say too much about the situation, or didn't say nothing about that situation in that manner as far as about his mother. I just felt like you had it there. Why not use it? Maybe they cut it. Maybe they edited, and that's why I said the editing was really bad. Maybe they edited it out, but that type of stuff is needed, because right now you're just sitting on edge, and now you're not knowing what you're sitting on edge about, and then the movie just ends. Showing us Chameleon for in the last 2-3 minutes of the film was just pointless. It really didn't need to happen. If they were going to do that, they might as well just continue to just play with the name. Another Easter egg that was in the film was the Daily Bugle. They had an online website, and then they had a paper for a certain situation. So I saw that. I thought that was pretty neat. But again, coming from someone that read the comics, I can find those things interesting, but a lot of people probably seen that and didn't think twice about that. So there you go. So all in all, I give this movie a 2 out of 10. It was watchable, although I felt like it's nothing that I'm going to go try and watch again. You probably couldn't pay me to watch this film again. It was that bad. I want to put it up there with Morbius as far as terrible films. I didn't feel that Morbius was as bad as this because of storyline wise. But I felt like they should have did better with this. And that was another problem I had with this film, is like it was rated R, because it was supposed to show you all this blood and gore, but the blood and gore was like so extremely CGI'd. I felt like they could have got away with a PG-13 rating if they just steered away from the cursing. It would have been that simple. And that way, your $25 million weekend or $20 to $25 million weekend would have been a $40 million weekend, a $50 million weekend, because people are making those mistakes. And honestly, I don't even think this film is going to make $25 million at the box office. It's that bad. But we're going to see, man. I'll let y'all know next time I see y'all. I appreciate y'all for tuning in. As always, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. I'll see you next week. Peace.